All right, everyone, thank you for joining. Before we begin, I'd like to share some of our housekeeping notes. For this session, the session is going to be recorded for references purposes. Please click the CC button on the bottom of the Zoom screen so you can enable live captioning. Please remain muted unless you are ready to share. And finally, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom if you have any questions. We will begin shortly. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Swipe Right for Success, a speed dating style peer mentoring experience. We are
I'm Alison McGuire. I'm an instructional designer at George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences.
And I'm Cristobal Ocasio Ilarraza. I'm also an instructional designer at the Center for Teaching Excellence in Libraries and Academic Innovation, also at the George Washington University. So for this session, we would like to do the following. We want to discuss very briefly the history of our own peer mentoring program. We'd like to also explain the benefits of mentoring. Then we will conduct a peer mentoring activity, speed dating style. And finally, we will discuss key takeaways. Okay, so to begin a little bit with our own history. So Alison and I are actually part of a bigger community of practice here at GW called the Instructional Innovation Committee. We also call it the IIC. So back in spring of 2024, the results of a survey that was shared amongst the IIC members demonstrated a strong need for collaboration. And one of the solutions proposed to address this was to create mentoring opportunities. So since then, Alison has led these efforts, and I've been helping along with some other folks in managing our peer mentor program. So some of the highlights of our journey so far include that we actually started a pilot with 10 participants back in also 2024. And we have been successfully running cohorts ever since. Also in 2024, we presented on our pilot at the Online Learning Consortium, also known as OLC. And then finally, and most recently, we wrote a chapter for a book on mentoring instructional designers in higher education. So this is our shameless plug. The book will come out in November of this year. So I would also like to briefly go over some of the benefits of mentoring. This graphic that we're showing right now has been adapted from several resources. We have the resources on a different slide at the end of the presentation, but we are going to include them in the chat so that you, if anyone is interested, can look them up. So going back to the graphic, mentoring has two very clear, distinct functions. So there's the career functions and the psychosocial functions. For the career functions, this has more to do with the actual job. So whatever involves networking, learning about organizational culture, skill development, and whatnot. And then whereas the psychosocial functions have more to do with promoting acceptance, emotional support, guidance, among many other benefits. So now, there are many mentoring models out there. Our program uses a peer mentoring model. Some scholars call it collaborative mentoring. Other people call it relationship co-mentoring. And essentially what this model does is that it promotes reciprocal mutual exchange and dynamic context for learning. So this model values shared learning, distributed leadership, and non-hierarchical relationships. All right, Alison.
Thanks. So because Cris and I are instructional designers, we always like to ground our presentation in learning objectives. So by the end of today's session, you will have asked open-ended questions to learn about the interests and expertise of your colleagues. You will have explored potential areas of collaboration or shared learning. And finally, you will have expanded your network. So as Cris mentioned, we're going to be doing a speed dating style mentoring activity. And just a little background info on us, Cris and I actually met in a Zoom breakout room, very much like what we're going to do today. So we've been really good collaborators and friends ever since. While it would be wonderful if we could help facilitate connections like that today, even if this session is nothing more than a few minutes of really good, engaging conversation, being heard by people who understand what you're going through, there's still a lot of value in that.
Mm-hmm.
So how this is going to work, first we're going to drop a link in the chat to our discussion prompts. This is a Google Doc, so if there's anybody who doesn't have a Google account, just raise your hand and we'll put an alternate format in the chat. But this document has questions that will help guide your conversation with your partner. There's a lot of questions. You don't have to go through all of them, but we do encourage you to take one question from each category because they are designed with scaffolding in mind. It will take you from establishing rapport to talking about your interests to finally exploring the thought of do you want to take this relationship a step further into more of a mentoring type of exchange. So once everybody has their documents queued up and ready to go, we will divide everyone randomly into pairs. If there's an odd number of people, there might be one group with 3 partners, and that's fine. You'll use your discussion prompts to start a conversation, and that will last 10 minutes. If during these 10 minutes it's mutually agreed, you're welcome to exchange contact details. But then after the 10 minutes are up, we're going to reshuffle participants into new pairings and repeat the activity. And we'll do this for a total of 3 rounds. If during the second round or third round you're accidentally paired up with the same person, you're welcome to continue the conversation, or you can rejoin the main room and we'll put you in a different group. Are there any questions before we start with the breakout rooms?
So please hold on a minute. So we're in the background dividing people up into small groups.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome back from round 1. I'm going to shuffle the breakout rooms and we will start round 2.
All right. All right. Welcome back.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to initiate, let's see, our final round of speed mentoring.
Hold on just 1 second while we create the breakout rooms.
Our breakout rooms have been initiated.
All right. All right, welcome back.
All right. So, how did it go? We would love it if everyone right now just took a moment to share in the chat. What were your impressions of the speed mentoring activity?
So Beth Case shared their LinkedIn in the chat. So
Actions. Good.
Actions, amazing. Love to see that.
That was fun. Good. Wonderful.
Good experience. More time to connect.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. Cris and I, we're always trying to find ways to make mentoring more accessible for folks. We recognize that oftentimes it's kind of a barrier to entry when people like aren't really able to commit to a full semester or academic year to like being in a mentoring relationship with someone. So we're just exploring new formats. So we really appreciate your feedback today and for giving this a chance.
Yeah.
Good to chat, share ideas. Yeah, if anyone has questions about the ADA Title II regulations, reach out to Beth.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, so Ryan is sharing, great after the first session when one had a participant that wasn't able to interact, but other two were great. Thank you for sharing this, Ryan. Beth is sharing, sometimes in these breakout type things, you just sit and look at each other, but this time we really clicked. That's
really clicked. Oh, yay. I'm so glad to hear that. That makes me feel so good.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Cris, do you want to advance to the next slide?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
So before we close out, we'd like to leave you with a couple resources that we are calling our partnership toolkit. The first is our connection catalyst, which is essentially just a couple email templates that you can use. If you did meet somebody that you clicked with and you want to connect outside of this conference, you can just copy and paste this into your email, send it on your way, so you've already taken that first step. The second item is our peer mentor agreement form. This is something that we share with our peer mentoring group at GW. It's not required of our participants, but some people do find it helpful. It's essentially a guide to help define the terms of your mentoring relationship. So when you do meet with your person, you can talk about your goals, how you prefer to communicate, how often you want to connect, what the duration of the mentoring relationship will be, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's all that we have. If there are any questions or comments, please feel free to either unmute yourselves or put it in the chat. We have a couple minutes left. Oh yes, and Cris included our email addresses in the chat. Katie wrote, this mentoring agreement form is very timely. Thank you for preparing. Yes, please feel free to use it, remix it, share it.
Katie is sharing that the mentoring agreement form is very timely for them for a different situation. So thank you for preparing and sharing. That's amazing. Leonard is grateful for this experience of connecting with others. And Lee Wang is saying that like the human connection part of this session. So
thank you so much.
That was the idea. This is what we wanted to do, really.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for giving this session a chance. We know there are other great sessions available, so thank you for choosing us. Thank you for your energy, for your time and attention. We really appreciate it. And also thank you to Mouse for moderating.
Yay.
Thanks to you too, Alison and Cris. Awesome experience. Something a little bit different than the normal webinar sessions that you go to. So thanks for everybody for coming to our ELK sessions here today and tomorrow and Friday. And I did put a link in the chat for a survey form. We appreciate your feedback, so feel free to take a moment or two to fill that out. But we still have some more time, so if you have any questions for Alison and Cris about getting together and breaking down those barriers of communicating, get them out there.